Good morning, Year 6. This is our third week. It's Monday, the 18th of January. And this week in English, we are going to be looking at authorial choice and character traits. So, the choices that the author makes in terms of the words that they use, none of it is by mistake, it's all very deliberate. And this is a key skill when you're a writer. And character traits, we talked about traits last week in terms of their personality, what makes them them. Now, our grammar this week is looking at passive and active verbs, so our focus mainly is going to be on verbs to start with in our grammar work, and then we'll look further into that. That's coming later this week. This week, then, we have our learning challenges for each day. Firstly, we are going to start with, can I explain influential language? Well, influential means that it has an effect on the reader, and language, of course, are the words that are used. Now, today you'll select sentences and phrases in the novel that have influence on the reader. In order to do this, you need to read 5 sections of the novel. Now, that looks like an awful lot, but it's really not. They are short sections, and I'm going to start with Wake Me Up When September Ends. The rest of September was hard. I wasn't used to getting up so early in the morning. I wasn't used to this whole notion of homework, and I got my first quiz at the end of the month. I never got quizzes when Mom homeschooled me. I also didn't like how I had no free time anymore. Before, I was able to play whenever I wanted to, but now it felt like I always had stuff to do for school. And being at school was awful in the beginning. Every new class I had was like a new chance for kids to not stare at me. They would sneak peeks at me from behind their notebooks, or when they thought I wasn't looking. They would take the longest way around me to avoid bumping into me in any way, like I had some germ they could catch, like my face was contagious. In the hallways, which were always crowded, my face would always surprise some unsuspecting kid who maybe hadn't heard about me. The kid would make the sound you make when you hold your breath before going underwater, a little sound. And this happened maybe 4 or 5 times a day for the first few weeks, on the stairs, in front of the lockers, in the library. 500 kids in a school. Eventually, every one of them was going to see my face at some time. And I knew after the first couple of days that word had gotten round about me, because every once in a while I'd catch a kid elbowing his friend as they passed me, or talking behind their hands as I walked by them. I can only imagine what they were saying about me. Actually, I prefer not to even try to imagine it. I'm not saying they were doing any of these things in a mean way, by the way. Not once did any kid laugh or make noises or do anything like that. They were just being normal, dumb kids, I know that. I kind of wanted to tell them that. Like, it's okay, I know I'm weird looking. Take a look, I don't bite. Hey, the truth is, if a Wookiee started going to the school all of a sudden, I'd be curious. I'd probably stare a bit. And if I was walking with Jack or Summer, I'd probably whisper to them, hey, there's the Wookiee. And if the Wookiee caught me saying that, he'd know I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just pointing out the fact that he's a Wookiee. It took about 1 week for the kids in my class to get used to my face. These were the kids I'd see every day in all my classes. It took about 2 weeks for the rest of the kids in my grade to get used to my face. These were the kids I'd see in the cafeteria, yard time, PE, music, library, computer class. It took about a month for the rest of the kids in the entire school to get used to it. These were the kids in all the other grades. They were big kids, some of them. Some of them had crazy haircuts. Some of them had earrings in their noses. Some of them had pimples. None of them looked like me. Jack will. This is section 2 now. I'm going to read this one and then you can read the remaining 3 parts. They are only short. Jack will. I hung out with Jack in homeroom, English, history, computer, music and science, which were all the classes we had together. The teachers assigned seats in every class, and I ended up sitting next to Jack in every single class, so I figured either the teachers were told to put me and Jack together, or it was a totally incredible coincidence. I walked to classes with Jack too. I know he noticed kids staring at me, but he pretended not to notice. One time though, on our way to history, this huge 8th grader who was zooming down the stairs 2 steps at a time accidentally bumped into us at the bottom of the stairs and knocked me down. As the guy helped me stand up, he got a look at my face. And without even meaning to, he just said, "Whoa." And then he patted me on the shoulder, like he was dusting me off, and took off after his friends. For some reason, me and Jack started cracking up. "That guy made the funniest face," said Jack as we sat down at our desks. "I know, right?" I said. "He was like, whoa. I swear I think he wet his pants." We were laughing so hard that the teacher, Mr. Roach, had to ask us to settle down. Later, after we finished reading about how ancient Sumerians built sundials, Jack whispered, "Do you ever want to beat those kids up?" I shrugged. "I guess. I don't know. Oh, I'd want to. I think you should get a secret squirt gun or something and attach it to your eyes somehow. And every time someone stares at you, you'd squirt water in the face." "With some green slime or something," I answered. No, with slug juice mixed with dog pee." "Yeah," I said, completely agreeing. "Guys," said Mr. Roach from across the room, "people are still reading." We nodded and looked down at our books, and then Jack whispered, "Are you always going to look this way, August? I mean, can't you get plastic surgery or something?" I smiled and pointed to my face. "Hello, this is after plastic surgery." Jack clapped his hand on his forehead and started laughing hysterically. "Dude, you should sue your doctor," he answered between giggles. And this time the two of us were laughing so much we couldn't stop, even after Mr. Roche came over and made us both switch chairs with the kids next to us. Now you can read the remaining parts. Okay, so our task today. Words that influence the reader. I've picked one sentence from the novel part, which has just been read. "And being at school was awful in the beginning." Which word makes us think school is bad? Which other words could the author put there? I'll give you a moment to think. You can pause the video. Well, the word there is awful. Okay, so the word awful is used when you have a negative feeling or opinion. It's an adjective. We describe things as awful, don't we? AWFUL. All right, how could we swap that one out and use a different word with the same meaning? Now, of course, if you think back to our learning last term, a synonym is a different word with the same meaning. So a synonym for awful is dreadful. It's the same suffix at the end, FUL too. What about this passage here? I'll read it for you. "This huge 8th grader who was zooming down the stairs, 2 steps at a time, accidentally bumped into us." Pause the video, see if you can have a think. Well, the word huge tells us that the child was much bigger than Oggy, and the word zoom tells us that he was moving quickly. What synonyms could we use? Different words with the same meaning. Well, huge, large. Zooming, racing. He wasn't going slow, he was zooming, so therefore racing could be a synonym for that. So we haven't changed the meaning of the sentence. We've just changed some of those key words that influence the reader. All right then, well, can you find the key words for the next 4 phrases? Copy and underline the keywords, and then tell me about them. And then write the sentence using synonyms for the keywords. Can you find the word showing concern? Then Jack whispered, "Are you always going to look this way, August?" Find the word showing concern, and then underline it. Rewrite the sentence with a different word, a synonym for that word. The word showing pleasure. "But I still think my birthday is cool." So which word shows pleasure? Write it out, underline it, and of course then change it. Use a synonym. Which words show uncertainty? "But she was going to try to come to your party if time allowed, and Tristan's mom said he might come after his soccer game." So which words show uncertainty there? Underline them, and then rewrite using synonyms for those words. Which words show size? "My birthday party turned out to be much smaller than I thought it would be." rewrite, underline, and rewrite using a synonym for that word. Now, by the time you have done this, you will have a large part of your page actually filled in. As a challenge then, can you find other examples in what you've read today? And maybe use synonyms for the keywords. So you already have 4. See if you can find 3 more. And this ought to use 3/4 to a page in your writing book, perhaps even more. You can look back at the examples to help you. So find some language in the parts of the novel which you've read, further to the parts that I've read. Can you use synonyms for the keywords? It's an extra challenge for you to complete. And just a last note, this week we'll be looking at spellings with IE and EI in them. You know many of them. Words that could come in useful today: believe, achieve, receive. And notice the spelling change in the last word, receive, it's EI. IE is the most common use, but there are many EI words, and we will look at these during this week too. If you're unsure on the spelling of a word, you can type it into Google and it will usually help you with the spellings if you're uncertain. It will fix it for you. Did you mean? And then it will give you the spelling. And of course, this can help you to achieve. ACHIEVE. So try and use some of those IE and EI words in your work. I'll be looking out for them this week in particular and next week. Of course, rewind the video wherever you need to find out the exact task. And I will see you next time. I am here for you for any support that you need, of course. Goodbye.